Now this tutorial is all about painting a red squirrel using our watercolours, and there's quite a few processes involved in this as well. So I'll start on this today and get those brushes wet. Yeah. Now I want to put on first of all just the outline of the squirrel. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Make sure you got the photograph on a tablet or an iPhone or something like that first. At least then you can see where kind of all the lines on the outline goes to. But very lightly, very lightly sketch it out, because I want to be able to remove this pencil line later on. So the next stage is masking fluid. And I'm going to use the PBO drawing gun for that. An old size 00 brush, look at the state of that one, that, and a cocktail stick. Get a bar of soap. Welcome. And then very lightly take the bristles over that bar soap just a few times, and that will help the brush becoming clogged with the masking fluid. Right, put that down there so it doesn't slip. Make sure it's thoroughly mixed, but don't shake it or anything like that, because if you do, you'll end up with lots of air bubbles inside it. So I'm going to use an old cocktail stick to mix it with, just by stirring gently like that. Look. And usually when you've got a coloured masking fluid like this blue version here, you'll find that you can see the colour at the bottom of the tub as well. So it's really, really rich deep blue in this case. I know it definitely needs a mix. Size 00, and all I want to do is apply a line of masking fluid, maybe within about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, something like that, inside the line. It doesn't have to be perfect, as long as it's near enough. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to put a background on there as well. Just a very basic blurry background, very similar to what we can see in that photograph down there. Now the reason why I've got a cocktail stick in my hand, this one here, so when you get to this area here, we've got plenty of hairs sticking out. I want to make sure I put quite a bit of masking fluid in there. Only work in small sections at a time because it does dry really quickly. Then using that cocktail stick, flick out a few little lines here and there. Look. You can barely see them, I know. But that will depict some very fine hairs, and they should stand out when we apply that background over the top. Flick the hairs out in the direction you can see the hairs going, or growing. And the same with that big tuft of an ear. I do note you can see some little tiny marks around the outside of my painting in places. You have to look around though. So for example here, it's extremely light as well as you can see. And a few all the way around. That enables me to reposition my reference photograph over the top. Now this should take probably 5 or 10 minutes to dry, but in the meantime, let's make up some background colours. I've got some masking tape around the outside edge here, as you can see. You can't make it on the screen, can't you? That one's called Crafter's Companion, and it is nearly transparent. As for the colours, I've got a mixture here of sap green and gambo hue, to more of a milky consistency. And this one is indigo, all on its own. One is lonesome, and that's to a watery consistency. Because when you look at that photograph, this is quite light and pale down there, isn't it? We're not trying to completely copy the background at all, nowhere near. Just something very similar, that's all we need really. So what we need to do first of all is wet the background, or make sure your masking fluid is nice and dry. If it's latex, you'll find it's really tacky. And you can see that's nice and dry. And also very often the latex one, you can see the change of colour as well. Not so much with the PBO one. So that is nice and dry. So I can carry on now. Phew, that's a relief. I nearly forgot to check that. I know. Let it soak in and wet it again thereafter. Probably 2 or 3 times usually I tend to do it. We'll not be wetting it too much because we'll not be spending a lot of time on the background. Do it nice and quick, or thereabouts anyway. I'm going to start off with the green at the top. Now my board's on a slight angle here. Just apply it to the paper in one fell swoop if you can, like that. There you go. I don't want to keep going back to the top because if you do, you'll find you start lifting paint off. Apply it very loosely. You don't have to be too precise with this, remember. You really don't. This is the size 18 brush, by the way. A very, very old brush. And I'm going to wash my brush out and then apply the blue underneath. So a little bit of indigo. Very pale though, you can see it's really watery, can't you? And blend those two colours together. And that is all you really need to do. If you've got some grass blades in the corner, what you can do is create a basic effect, and I mean a basic effect, by grabbing, let's say, I don't know, a size 2 brush like this one here, then lift like this. The drier the paper, the more of a mark you leave there like that. But keep drying that brush off. Just put a few odd ones in here and there. Like that. See what I mean? And as this dries, it will fade. That's all I want to do on that. Just a basic impression of some grass blades within the background there. Now let that dry for at least 3 or 4 hours. Once it's bone dry and everything's nice and flat, then, and only then, can you remove that masking fluid. Clean fingers. I mean clean fingers. No oils, grease or anything on those fingers. And then what you need to do is roll the masking fluid from the outside in. That way, if it's going to tear the paper, let it tear inside. And not that lovely plain clear background we've got on there. If you've got a tear on the inside, you can cover that up with details, can't you? Then place your photograph back over the top again. Just aligning my little pencil marks I've already made across the printout and also the watercolour paper. I'm going to make sure they're definitely in line. I've got one down here where my finger is, got 2 at the top. And trace out just some of the main details we can see within the squirrel and also that tree. Don't go over the outside line, because if you do, you'll end up with a very dark line around the edge. It will then look more like a cartoon than a semi-detailed painting. And I think what I'll do first of all, I'm going to paint the eye. I always like to paint an eye first of all because, well, it gives you something to look at, doesn't it, on the paper? And you very quickly get some life on there as well, which I think is very, very important. Phthalo blue, quite watery, that one there, Paul. And then for the black, I'm going to use lamp black. Now, I know not everybody wants to use lamp black, so you can always make your own black if you want to anyway. But for me, as I mentioned, I'm going to go for lamp black, and I want a cool colour, I think. Let's go for French ultramarine, or ultramarine, or French. And I want this one to be more of a creamy consistency. Not thick, just creamy. And then just to stop it looking too flat, and also to add a bit more coolness to it, I'm going to go for French ultramarine. And drop that in. And I think, you know, that's just about creamy. Yeah, that's not far off, that will do. I'm going to use a size 2 brush, and this one is by Rosemary & Co. It's a pointed round series 301, or 301, how would you say it? The first thing I want to do, get some blue, very watery. I want to add this in to where the highlight is, first of all, okay? Then give it a quick dry. A little bit more, just around there. Probably down to here as well. Yeah, that's plenty. Okay, back to your size 00 or 20, whatever you want to call it. And back to the lamp black with the French ultramarine. Load that brush and then roll it as you pull away. So what I'm doing, if you can see this on the screen, I'm going to load it, roll out the barrel. Like that, just give it a roll. And give it a tap or two on some kitchen roll like that. Let me quickly zoom in that a little bit more for you. Okay, first thing I need to do, the first thing, is to outline the eye, but very carefully. I want to make sure I've got that shape about right before I start filling it in. I've got a bit of a sort of teardrop shape, isn't it? I know, you don't need a great deal on the brush, you know, you really don't. And that sort of goes to nearly a point around there. That's right. And sort of bevels out about like that. Bit of a curve, slightly wider towards the top. This side here is nearly flat, not quite. It's got a slight curve in it, as you can see. Only very slight though. Just kind of hooks in a little bit more as it comes around that bend there. And then just get a little bit of a curve at the bottom of the eye. And then bring that up. That's about right, I think. Then you can afford to fill it in. But carefully. Load it, roll it, tap it. Yeah, you do know now. Then fill the eye in. But be careful when you get back towards that highlighted area. because I want to try and reserve that blue we got on there. The line's slightly thicker on this side here. The more you look, the more you see. So keep looking back and forth for that reference photograph. And also around the top part of the eye as well. We have got some little patterns in there. Now, I'm going to shrink my photograph down to something similar, so the same size or thereabouts as my reference photograph here, to make sure I'm not going to try and paint too much in the way of details. I can instantly see now getting this dark colour on. The highlights is too light, isn't it? Too much of a pale blue. That will need another layer of blue over the top. But again, very carefully, because we don't want to start bluing the black underneath, do we? A few little patterns here and there. That's all you need. And already we've got ourselves an eye. Look at that. Okay, give it a quick dry and drop a little bit more blue in if you need it. Okay, a little bit more of the phthalo blue in there now. It's nice and dry, by the way. But not much. Just a touch here and there. Well, I think it's too dark. I've got a bit of white paint here. Now this one, just out of interest, is one by, there you go, Shinhan Pass Colour Design, Series 899. And it's a mixture of white gouache and also watercolour. So it's a bit of both, really. All I do, put a little bit of water down the bottom. This is already dried. I've used it before, as you can see by the colour over there. Wet it, reactivate it, and make it creamy. And then you can use that, sorry, got that in the way. Just add a bit of a dot here and there if you wanted to, within that eye. If it's too much, let it dry, and then you can go over the top again if you want to with some blue. I do that all the time, you know, back and forth. Just add a bit of sparkle within the eye. And just a touch of phthalo blue over the top. In places. And I think, you know, that will do for this part. I'll see you back in part 2 when we start to work on the fur. And also working out those colours in between as well. Because it's not just one layer of fur, is it? There's numerous layers there. But how do we paint them? I'll demonstrate all of that in the next part. See you then.